Hey everybody out there. I hope you can see me. It's kind of a dark video, but I'm going to do an experiment I've been wanting to do for a while. I'm sure it's been done, but you know what? I want to do it, so we're going to do it again. I've always been curious about how the comparison is between running 87 octane gas and running E85 in terms of mile per gallon. Normally I run cars such as the Q, the Kia, the Soul that I rent, the Honda Fit, the Nissan Rogue, the Civic, things that don't really E85 compatible, I guess you would say. But right now I had to borrow my stepdad's F150 truck, as you can see, and it's E85 flex fuel compatible right on the cap. So what I'm going to do is I have filled up basically enough gas to make the trip to Ashland and back for Thanksgiving. Then over the next couple of days I'm going to keep the truck as low as possible, and then on Sunday I have to go back to Ashland to drop some stuff off. What I'm going to do is record the mileage going on regular, get it as low as I can, almost to where the fuel light's on or the fuel light is on, filled up with E85, run the exact same trip back and forth and compare it, because I'm curious if it'll be any different. So let's get started tonight. Okay, we are on the highway. Cruise set at 75, 264 should be enough to get to Ashland and back. Let us do that. 0. We're gonna let that run for a little while, and I'm gonna set you on dash. It's footage going down the highway. We are about halfway to Ashland. We are at the big town of Moorhead, Kentucky, my alma mater, Moorhead State University. Go Eagles. And as you can see, we're getting 17.6 miles a gallon. This truck actually, to be honest with you, does a lot better on the highway than I thought it would. It's a 5.4 Triton. As you can see, it's got almost 170,000 miles on it. Original spark plugs as far as I know. Never had a tune-up. I'm sure if I did some things such as fuel injection treatment, other things to it, it would probably get better. But 17.6 for a big V8 in a truck doing 75 miles an hour on the highway is not bad. So once we get to Ashland, we'll record it again. We'll record it going back to Lexington, kind of get an average in there, and then next week we'll do the E85. So we made it to Huntington. So I was going to Ashland. I'm actually going to Huntington. Going to see Mindy. 17.2 average mile per gallon. That's the trip up. We're gonna make a pit stop at Sheets, get some greasy food. I'll record the trip going back. Sorry, AEW was on in the background. Record the trip going back, average that up, and then next week, 85. As a wise man named Willie Nelson once said, dime bags cost a dime back in my, nope, that's not it. As Willie Nelson once said, on the road again. So as you can see, I've got 169 miles to empty. It's 124 miles from here to work. So that should leave me with roughly 40 something miles, I'm hoping. And then it's a trip home, trip back to work, and then a trip to the gas station to fill it for E85. So it should leave very little to no, maybe 1 or 2 gallons of like two and a half, probably if my math is right. If it's getting 17 miles, that's 34. So like 45, like 2.5 gallons to mix with the E85. So I'm hoping that's really not enough to, I don't think that's enough to affect like 10 or 12 gallons of E85, because I really don't think E85 is going to get as good a gas mileage. So I'm going to overpower it, put like 10 or 12 more. I'm still getting 16.5, but I did drive a little bit off the highway there. So once I get back to Lexington, I will check that again. Hopefully it's about 17 again. I'm going to cruise about 75 again. And then tomorrow, fill it up with that E85 at Thornton's or Speedway, whichever one there has it. Made it back to work, 45 miles to empty. To home, back to work, back to the gas station over there. Tomorrow should bring that down probably 30, probably 20 maybe, somewhere in there. But we ran 14.8, we'll say 15 coming back, 17 going up, 16 average, we'll say that, split the difference there. So 16 miles a gallon, rough estimate. So tomorrow we'll go over to that gas station over there, or that gas station over there, whichever one, and we'll fill up with the E85. Like I said, as you can see on that Speedway sign out there, I don't know if you can see it or not, $2.91 for regular, plus you get 5 cents off with your speedy points, makes it $2.85. At the Thornton's right there, E85 yesterday was $2.91, so it's literally cheaper to get regular. So that kind of negates the cost saving of E85. So we will see tomorrow when we fill this bad boy up, and we'll put 12 gallons in it probably. So $35, $36. And we will go back to Huntington tomorrow to see Mindy, and then we will figure out on Sunday what it does. It is now Saturday, 6 o'clock. Just got off work, got a couple hours overtime. Get that money. 27 miles to empty, which should be roughly 2 gallons. So I'm gonna go over to there, fill up with the 85. But more importantly, Captain Crunch, Christmas Crunch, I'm about to mess the roof of my mouth up tonight. But we're gonna go fill up with the 85, drive this bad boy to Ashland to go see Mindy, and we'll see if it gets any better gas mileage. I don't think it will, but we're gonna find out. So we're filling up with the 85, as you can see. I got back in here because the radio's blaring loud out there, and I didn't want to get a copyright flag. I'd like to point out, gas unleaded 87 octane is $2.89. 85 is $2.91. If I had went to Speedway across the road or Shell on the other side right there, I could save 5 cents a gallon, and so I could have got it for $2.84, so I could have got it for 7 cents cheaper. So now the perks of E85 are no longer there for an NA car. I understand turbo cars make more power on E85 and it runs better, but I don't feel like this experiment's going to prove anything because this is a naturally aspirated V8. I'm just curious. So we're going to find out. I'm going to find out. You're going to find out. So we will find out if E85 is worth the hype. So I messed up and I put 17 gallons. I only meant to put like 10 or 12 in there. So we're going to get a little bit more E85 out of it, and we'll see just how it does. So I'm going to get on the highway here in a little bit, reset my tribometer, and we'll see how it does. We're getting ready to reset this guy. Boop. And then we're going to head down the highway. We'll see how it does on the way down, on the way back. Now this is, I hope you can see me, this is a flex fuel vehicle, so I would assume, being labeled as a flex fuel vehicle, it has some form of a ethanol sensor in it, and it will detect that I'm running E85, and it will adjust whatever it needs to adjust, timing, ignition, whatever, maybe up the fuel pressure or whatever, and make those necessary adjustments. I hope that being labeled a flex fuel vehicle does not just mean it has tougher fuel lines in it and a different fuel pump. I don't know. So it is Ford, so I don't know, but we're gonna find out. Okay, party people, we've made it to beautiful Huntington, West Virginia, where Mindy lives. 14.3 miles. So the going trip with on regular pump gas, we got 17.1, and now we've got 14.3 on 85, so that's almost 3 miles less to the gallon. So tomorrow or Monday, whenever, we will drive back to Lexington and average out what we get. If we go back the same as we did last time, I got a mile less to the gallon basically. So then we should basically get 13 or 12 or 13 miles a gallon, which would average out to about 14 or 13. So we will find out. It's not looking good so far for the 85. We're making the return trip to Lexington from Huntington, and I had put 17 gallons of ethanol in here, plus probably a gallon or two in there. And as you can see, it says Lexington is 115 miles. So normally I put a half a tank, about 10 gallons or so, plus whatever's in the bottom, of 87 in the truck, and it can make it from Lexington to Huntington, drive around Huntington for a day or two, and then back to Lexington, and have normally 50 miles to empty or so. Well, on E, I have 109 miles to empty. It's 115 miles to Lexington. So not only is it not going to make the trip back without stopping to get gas, it's not going to leave me with any gas left, and it's used more gas. So already know at this point that if this is right, that I'm already getting less mileage. So let's run this out, see if I got to stop and get gas, and we'll go from there. Well, as you can tell, I'm not back home. That dreaded thing came on, which is normally something that happens the day after I make this trip, or if I had put 17 gallons regular in it, it probably wouldn't happen for a couple of days. So E85 is already losing, so I'm going to stop and get gas because I'm about 60 miles from home. I won't make it. So at some point, I'm going to stop and put some 87 in this thing. That's all she's going to get from now on. Something random I'd like to point out I've noticed on my trip is that right there used to be a Bojangles. And now it's like a Med Express, like an outpatient thing, like a treatment clinic. And what else is weird is right by Mindy's house, there was a Bojangles, and it was super popular for a while, and now it's a car wash. So I don't think Bojangles is hitting it off in Kentucky and West Virginia as well as they thought they would. So if you got a Bojangles near you, you better enjoy it. It might be a car wash soon. 37 miles to empty. Haven't even made it home yet. Still a ways from home. So I'm gonna stop at Murphy Express, get some gas, then head home. And I'm also gonna do some calculations while I'm here. Calculate how far it was, how far I actually went on this tank of gas. And then what we're gonna do then, oh geez, this GameStop, fix your parking lot. So here's the calculations I'm doing. From my location to Mindy's is 95 miles. And then from Mindy's to home is 126. So 126, sorry, 126, 95, 11, 221. Okay, 221. Okay, so I used roughly 18 gallons of gas. I put 17 in and it took a little bit more, so we'll say 18. So calculator, 221 divided by 18 is 12.27, so we'll say 12.28 miles a gallon on E85. So as you saw in the first part, and from math I've done, on the highway this truck normally gets between 16 and 17 if you're being easy on it on the highway. Running at E85, as I just showed you distances here, it got 12.27. So that's, let's just say if we go from 12.2 to 16, let's say that's just 3.8. So let's say an even 4 miles less to the gallon. Okay, this truck's got a 20-gallon tank in it. That's 80 miles less to a tank. Okay, so let's do some more math. 4 miles to the gallon, okay, on a truck that gets 17, on a good day, 17 miles a gallon. So you've basically just cut that off. So 80 miles, let's say, let's do this. Calculator. 80 divided by 17. So you just put an extra, cut 4 gallons basically off your trip. So that would add up real fast. So based on not only what the dash was saying like 13.4, real world says like 12.2. So it's about a mile off, and that's normally what I've calculated when I've done it. It's normally within 1 mile to the gallon. So it's pretty accurate. It's within the variable range there, the range of error, as they say. So this test proved to me that in a regular vehicle, which this is just a plain Jane 5.4 Triton truck, F150, that E85 is not worth it. I showed the other day that E85 was actually 6 cents more expensive than regular gas, and I'm getting 3.5 to 4 miles less a gallon, and on a full tank that would be 80 miles to a tank less. The only thing I do have to say is the truck did seem like it ran a little bit smoother, and it ran a little bit quieter on this trip with the E. And it was to the point where I noticed, I was like, man, the truck's running pretty smooth with this E. But I don't think that's enough to make up for it. You know, I could literally just throw a set of spark plugs at it one time, or maybe a thing of fuel injector treatment and get the same thing, or an air filter or something, and it would smooth out, I'd think. So this experiment proved something I had thought for a while, that E85 is not all it's cracked up to be when it comes to terms of gas mileage. And plus, it's, with the way gas prices are now, I remember when E85 was like 20-30 cents cheaper, but now it's actually the exact same price or more. So as you've seen here with my math and my real world information I've gathered over these past couple of trips, to me E85 just is not worth it in a vehicle like this Ford truck. Captain Crunch, Christmas Crunch, I'm about to mess the roof of my mouth up tonight.